Welcome back to TribPreps. I'm Eric Lee alongside Todd Sommerfelt. Ready to talk about a little bit about week one of the football season.
That's the important thing. Football.
Looking forward to week two.
Yes. I was not again. You got to go out and watch Alaska play last week.
Yeah.
I'm going to see them play this week. They host Edgar on Friday night, which is one of those games that you just never get. There's not a whole lot of motivation for non-Alaska to play them during typical regular season.
Right.
Being a D3 school and playing against the D7 in Edgar, but anybody around here knows plenty about Edgar. They've had a lot of great games with Bangor lately.
Yep.
And this is one of those games that I think this is just a game you can do during a season like this.
Right.
And I love the fact that they're doing it. I think it's a really good opportunity for both teams. I've talked to enough coaches this year to know, yes, they want to go out and win their games, but wins and losses aren't the biggest thing. It's giving opportunity. And I think these Alaska kids are going to be able to say, hey, we got to play Edgar while we were in high school. And I mean, Edgar's one of those storied programs in the state.
Right.
Bangor beat them one time a few years ago on their way to a championship. I think beat them on the way to their first one too. And Edgar's had the upper hand a couple of times. So it's been a really nice Division 7 rivalry. And it'll be kind of cool to see how Edgar can stack up against a much bigger school. Because even though Alaska lost a lot of really good players from last year, what you saw last week showed that they're still a good program over there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, beating Toma 39-13 to open the year. I thought Aiden Larson looked really comfortable. I was really impressed, especially given that's his first varsity start. You know, you never know how that's kind of going to shake out. He was 12-15 for 162 yards and 2 touchdowns to the air, and ran for 88 yards and another score. And Alaska was just getting whatever they really wanted as far as the read option goes. They were super effective with that. Albert Romero, Michael Saverin at running back, they were kind of going 1-2 punch with them. But I mean, Larson showed that he can keep it, and he's really effective on the ground. So I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, Coach Yashitsky said the same thing. I talked to him today, and he really liked the way that they had that 1-2 punch, and he thought Aiden made really good choices with the ball, especially for his first time out as a starter. He's had some playing time before, but now he's a guy taking over. So those are things that impressed Yashitsky too.
And something that was interesting to me was I don't think Landon Peterson got a touch until the second quarter, and they still didn't have any issue moving the ball. They've got even plenty of threats at wideout other than Landon Peterson that they can move the ball pretty much wherever they want to. So
Michael Skemp is another guy that he brought up that was really impressive to him in week one. He didn't get in the end zone.
Hudson Weber had two scores.
Yes. And Weber was another guy that he kind of lauded too. We talked more about him defensively.
Sure.
In terms of what he's able to do with that, but impressive showing, I think, for them to go out. And Toma's a program with a new coach, doing some new things. And Alaska's kind of been at the top of the conference in recent years, and Toma hasn't, so you kind of expect Anna to do well.
You just never know with that turnover.
Right, and the way the season's gone.
Right.
You know, so everybody's in the same boat, yes, but Alaska's showing that it is still a top team in the conference.
Yeah.
So.
And Albeit Aquinas, Viroqua tomorrow night.
You get to go to Viroqua.
Season opener for the Blue Golds.
Yes. Viroqua lost last week to Mauston.
Yep.
Aquinas getting their first goal of the season here. They had a team, like an inter squad last Saturday, and Tom Lee said he really liked what he saw there, and he's just ready to kind of unleash this team that's kind of been banging against each other for several weeks now, and now finally gets to go out and play a game.
Yeah, and they return a lot of skill guys. I mean, you talk about Aiden Lee, Will Cambio. This will be Jackson Flotmeyer's first full season under center, but it sounds like that the offensive line's kind of where what might make or break their season, right?
Yes, but to have those skill guys, you can let that line kind of come along. I'm really interested to see how they use Lucas Beck. Has not played football recently. A state track sprint champion, speed, and a big kid too. I would have to, watching him, I would have to think he's not fun to tackle. If they can get the ball in his hands and teach him how to hold on to it, I mean, there's a lot of big games in his future if they play a lot of games. We'll see. But I think Tom Lee is excited. he pointed out to me when we talked that 5 years ago they had 19 players on their team, including a whole bunch of freshmen that weren't ready for varsity football. And on Friday night, he's starting 21 kids, so they're almost 2 platoon now, and it's been 5 years. So he really wants to see what his kids can do with some depth. I mean, we've seen what they've done the last couple of years in terms of bringing that program up. And now, I mean, they were excited about Flopmeyer last year, too, and him getting this opportunity. So we'll see what he can do against Roca on Friday.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to making the trip out there. Other notable things, probably week 1 is Luther beating Boscoville and really handily, 43-0.
That's we don't see a lot of those games out of Luther,
right?
And they're a team that's traditionally not traditionally, but there are certain seasons where they start off well, and then they'll get into whatever conference they're in and really struggle and have a tough time. But I was a little surprised at that being so one-sided, and it looked like they did everything well in that game. They throwing a new quarterback there.
Dylan Yang, he was 7 of 16 through the air for 104 yards and 1 touchdown, but also rushed for 87 yards and 3 touchdowns. So
and coach said that they were looking for something big from him, and they got it on week 1.
Right.
I think they also played pretty well defensively in that game too. So Luther really off to a good start. I think they have River Ridge.
They do have River Ridge. Very good team. D7. I think they lost to Blackhawk twice last year. Once was in the playoffs. They beat Iowa Grant last week, 42-0. They also have a dual threat quarterback. His name is Logan Drone. He was 4 of 10 for 92 yards, but he also carried the ball 11 times for 103 and 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
They're primarily, it looks like, a run team. They had 250 total rushing yards, but that dual threat quarterback might be interesting for.
Yeah, we'll see how Luther responds to this. Like I said, they're going into this game in a position they're not in a lot.
Yep.
So, but sometimes not being in that position, you can adjust to it a little better, not knowing what the other side of it is. So we'll see how they do. But again, a much tougher test this week.
Yeah. Other games going on this week: Darlington at Toma, PDC at River Valley, and then Melman and Blair Taylor open their seasons. Blair Taylor against Whitehall and Melman against Pepau.
Pepau, yes. Out of that, I mean, the Darlington-Toma game just came about today.
Yep.
Toma was supposed to have West Salem. West Salem's not playing.
Yep.
Darlington jumped in, so there's a chance for Toma to continue to build on what it started last week. Be interesting to see how some of those Dairyland teams do. Blair Taylor was kind of a team on the up, so we'll see if they can continue with what they've done in the last couple of years. Melman has such a strong tradition, especially in that conference. But a perennial playoff team, so they scrimmaged last week and we'll get to play games this week, so we'll see how that goes for them.
I think that about wraps it up for us.
We'll be back on Friday night. And we'll talk about the games we were at and anything else that happens. It'll come into us and we'll have it in time for another video on Friday night, and we'll chat again then.